Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
We always like to highlight heroes here at AM 560, The Answer, and we have one on the line. I know that there's a lot been going on with bombing of Iranian nuclear sites and their retaliation, which was kind of just a joke, but because they warned us ahead of time, and thank God no Americans died. But while this was taking place, there was something, I don't want to say the word spectacular, but something very moving and very heroic going on in Detroit, Michigan, at Pointe Community Church. A volunteer security team member, he stopped an attempted mass shooting at a local church in Wayne on Sunday. No parishioners were killed, thanks in part to Jay Trombley. And joining us now on our Turnkey.pro answer line is Jay Trombley. Mr. Trombley, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. So just, I know I heard about this, but not enough about it. And so that's why we wanted to have you on the program to talk about it. Start with just how this whole ordeal unfolded.
So details are continuing to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And as our safety team handled this situation and the law enforcement showed up, we did have to separate to give statements and stuff. So it's been a couple days. We haven't had a chance to all discuss and the what happened, each of our roles in protecting our building. And it was not me. It was not just me. The man who came to attack our church came to the parking lot, drew attention to himself. One of our deacons was running late to service, and he noticed the man. He talked to the man. He saw the man with all his tactical gear on, and his rifle. Richard was out of the truck, spoke to the man. The man looked at him, showed him his weapon, did not attack Richard. He didn't want to lose that element of surprise from what we figured. And he started walking down the front of the building to our main entrance, which was locked. He would not have opened the door and got in. He could have broke the glass and got in.
But didn't he fire 5 shots into the double pane glass, but it stopped it?
We're not exactly sure how that worked.
Okay.
That was a window to our sanctuary. We don't know. As I came in to this mess, Richard hit this man with his truck. As this man was running through around the front of the building to try to get in, Richard came and hit this man with his truck and put him down. The man then started firing, and that's when I went towards the sound. I was told I turned around. I heard the noise. Looked behind me. A young woman said, AR-15. When I said, what was that noise? I originally thought it was a mechanical issue in the building. And it sounded like something mechanical in the heating and cooling or something. And that was what my initial brain thought was. And so I knew then, and I went to the lobby. And another one of our safety team members was on the west end of the building, exited through the west side of the building, and came around the front. He and the gunman exchanged fire before I got there. And then I evaluated what I was seeing, which was just hard to explain. The other security guard came from the sanctuary, safety team member, and he and I were in the lobby together. The man turned and fired and sprayed what I believe was automatic fire through our lobby, through the windows. My other safety team member was hitting the calf. I don't know how I didn't get hit. I just don't know. I know God's hand covered and protected all of us in each step that Deacon Richard was late to church, that John had just asked if I needed somebody else to help with security that day. He had just gone and got his security gear on and was making himself a cup of coffee. So it had him on the west end of the building to bring him around to engage from the other direction, which gave me time to get in and see what was going on and not walk into a hail of bullets, immediately.
So I got to ask before we go any further, what denomination are you? I mean, I usher at my church. I have been for 12 years, and we don't lock the doors, and we don't have a security team. So why do you feel a need to have a security team in place and then you lock the doors? Have you received threats, outside threats?
Church, violence against churches has been on the rise for 2 decades.
I agree. Yep.
And over a decade ago, some members of our church, good godly men, brought it to the leadership of our church to do this, to put together a team. We have gone through, and we started with the security team, and we brought our security protocols up to a certain level, and then we changed it to a safety team to where we have protocol for everything. Bad weather, a fire in the building, where to evacuate, how the teachers of the Sunday school kids can get to an evacuation place, how the parents can get there. It's a program that we have been developing for over a year, or for over a decade, and we continue to evolve to protect our church family. It's not just bad guys. I never expected this to happen. My prayer at the end of a training session, whether it be a hand-to-hand, whether it be first aid, whether it be firearms training, was that in 20 years from this meeting, that all these meetings, all this time we spent together learning how to protect our church family from an episode like this, we just prayed that 20 years from now, we just look back at was good fellowship, that we never had to use any of this skills.
Right.
Evil came to our doorstep Sunday morning, and we had to put those skills to use. Pray to God we never have to do it again. God covered us, put each person on our safety team and each church member in just the right place to save his people, to use each of us to save his people, to save our families.
So Jay, I just want to say one thing, is that, you say, I'm not a hero, and you give the grace to God, and I think that that's wonderful. So many people wonder, how they would react in a situation so chaotic and dangerous. And I will say that you and the other gentleman you mentioned, then you don't have to wonder about that anymore. You guys stood up, and perhaps it was because of your faith, perhaps because of your training, but you did a great service. And then I look at the media coverage of this. Had you guys not been there, this story, what could have happened?
Multiple fatalities.
Why can't we cover it more when somebody like you and your team stepped up to stop this? I just want to say, I guess that's not a question, but just a thanks.
You're welcome. I was told yesterday, somebody researched all they could about attacks on churches and houses of worship. And this is the only time they could find that in one of these attacks, nobody in the congregation was killed.
Wow.
This is the first time that just the shooter lost his life.
And let's talk about, yeah. I'm sorry for interrupting. Yeah.
No, that doesn't pale on me. I realize that I don't know. Yesterday, this was a bad guy that I stopped from hurting my people. At one point yesterday, in a discussion I was having with somebody, they talked about the man's father coming and was trying to get on site. So it had to stop me and think that this young man was about the same age as my son. So,
Yeah, he was 31 years old. His name's Brian Browning, and I normally don't like to say their names, but his mother was a parishioner there. Was he involved in your church too?
From what I understand, he had been there several times last fall. Okay. And then a few times this spring or this past winter, he had met with our pastor. I was not, he did not seem familiar to me. I pretty much see everybody come in and out. I know the people who are there for years. It's my job to look at the people who I don't know. He does not ring a bell to me. So it's striking me that what has happened.
Right.
And, this man had a family and
did he leave any note behind or any manifesto or?
I don't know if he's left he came in ready to go. His vehicle was full of ammunition. He had on full tactical gear. He had 2 weapons. He had a handgun and a rifle.
Oof.
The bomb dog alerted on his vehicle. We had to evacuate the whole area, put all of our, parishioners out in a field for many hours in the scorching heat. In our community there was neighbors to our church that back up to our east facility that were opening their gates, that were bringing food and water and medicine and everything that they could do to help. The community then brought in buses and bussed those people down to a safe place that was air conditioned to get them. It was about 10 o'clock at night before we could get back into the building and get vehicles and retrieve people's phones and medicine and whatever they needed.
How are you processing all of this, and has it sunk in?
I don't know. I'm just trying to go day by day here, and like I said, yesterday it hit me for a minute about the loss of life of this young man, and that I took his life. But I know that he was there to take many more.
Right.
I will reconcile that when the time comes. I'm doing all right. I take notice, and as the details emerge, I realize how much everybody else had a hand in this. Initially, it looked like, between the deacon and myself, but I know he was exchanging gunfire with another one of our safety team members in front of the building. That man was hiding behind an air conditioning unit. An air conditioning unit is not a good source of protection against a high-powered rifle. The front of our building is laced with bullet holes. And
yeah, I saw that on the news.
And I know how. God was protecting us. God had his hand on us in every aspect to protect us. The devil sent his man to this door to fight our people. And it's, the devil felt threatened by what our church does. And that's why he came to us.
Okay. All right, Jay Trombley, we appreciate so much sharing your story with us and what your heroic efforts, and we'll be praying for you. And Jay Trombley, he's a member of the Cross Pointe. I do think I said Grosse Pointe, but I used to live in Michigan. Cross Pointe Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, and part of their safety team. And thank you so much, Jay, for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Okay, God bless. Thank you. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at